here we go. But we're continuing this beautiful speech that the Lubavitcher Rebbe gave in 1992. It's the Shabbat after the Shluchim convention, the convention of all of the Rebbe's messengers through the whole world and his representatives in the whole world called Shluchim. And the Rebbe last week stressed to them and reminded them over and over and over again, and reminded them that they have to be reminded, because this is a topic which is very apt to be forgotten or swept under the rug or ignored or put off, because there's so many important things to do. But the point the Rebbe reminded them is the only reason for their existence, the only reason for Chabad, the only reason for Judaism, the only reason for the creation of the world is only to bring Mashiach. And you have to work at it every day of your life. Kol yamei chayecha, and with all of the energy that you have. Kol yamei is all of your time, and chayecha and all of your energy. And this, of course, you have to constantly remind yourself, because, you know, it's totally not natural. You know, yeah, maybe a little bit. You talk about Moshiach, but you have a lot of other things to do. The Rebbe says, "Oh, yeah, do all your other things, but you have to. The main point you have to remember that whatever you're doing is in order to bring Mashiach, and you have to do it in order to bring Mashiach." As we said so many times, Mashiach is going to be a person like Moses, like King David, and he's going to simply change the whole world for the good. He's going to reveal the good potential in every thing and in every human being. And the world will be a productive place. The world will be a blessed place. The world will be a live, living place. Every human being will be appreciated. The more human beings, the more appreciation there'll be. The more happiness there'll be in the world. The more health there'll be in the world. That's one person, Mashiach, is going to do it. Seems impossible to believe. Well, I mean, it's impossible to understand, but it's not impossible to believe. But we have an example, like we say, we have Moses. Moses, and not only that do we have the example, that is the basis, the foundation, the essence of Judaism. Judaism was born because of a miracle, God, and a massive miracle. I mean, this was not just a one-time little miracle that some guy, fed 100 people or something like that. Elijah the prophet, he did that. He fed like 3,000 people, whatever, from a couple loaves of bread. That small stuff, raising the dead, Elijah the prophet also did that. Elisha, his pupil, raising the dead, that's small change. God took millions of Jews from abject slavery, where they had been for 4 generations, and gave them, all of them, the Torah, revealed that. That's incredible. And that's the basis of Judaism. Makes no sense, but that's basic. It has to be believed. If you want to, I mean, you don't have to believe it if you don't want to, but the only way you can possibly comprehend or put this into your life is through belief, through faith. So the Rebbe said, that's not enough. That's only the beginning. That's just teaching us how important faith in something real is, how essential faith is. It's the only way we can actually perceive the truth. What's the truth? God took the Jews out of Egypt, gave them the Torah. The Torah is true. Well, that's only the beginning. We have to have even more faith in something that's going to be even more real, and that is the coming of another one person who's going to be the Mashiach, and he's going to also give us the Torah, which means he's going to give us the godliness of the Torah. Right? When the Jews got the Torah on Mount Sinai, they got the Torah, but they didn't get the godliness part of it. That's why they worshiped the golden calf. And from the fact that there was no godliness, they didn't feel the godliness in the Torah, so there come all sorts of fakers and cheaters and losers, and saying, no, we have the Torah, the Gospels, and this is the way you have to interpret it. And this, when God reveals his essence in the Torah, that's called the new Torah, no one is going to misinterpret the Torah again. Says the Rebbe, this appreciation of God, this appreciation of the true essence of the Torah, this novelty of the improving of the whole entire world, and to be happy and productive, this has to be, your attitude has to be like the new moon, like a baby that's just born, like a child that doesn't understand anything but praise to God. In other words, everything is contained in the seed. It's purity, it's pure newness. That's the idea of the beginning of the month. That's what Chassidut wants to bring to the world, this new, refreshing, not just refreshing, freshing, I don't know what to call it. It's not that the same world is just, being renewed. It's just pumping life into it. You put new batteries in something. No, the whole entire being of everything is being renewed, that we can see God. It's just being renewed in the same way. Let's explain this in the service of every single Jew every day. Right? These are wonderful philosophical, religious ideas and things like that. But how is it really practical? Right? How is it really practical? Hatchalat Yom, the beginning of the day of every single Jew, from small until big, is saying a sentence. And the Rebbe wanted this sentence to be said, to be taught to all the children in America, Jew and non-Jew, to be translated into English, and that every child in America should say this first thing in the morning, after the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag or whatever, but even before that, they should be taught. In the end, there were people that disagreed. There were Jews, of course, that disagreed with this, and so it got through as a moment of silence, and that also they disagreed with. But there's some places that have this moment of silence. In any case, the idea is like this: when you wake up in the morning, the first thing you're supposed to say in the morning is "Modeh ani lefanecha." It doesn't have God's name in it. Modeh, let's translate it in a simple way. Grateful am I before you, Melech Chai v'Kayom, the existing and eternal King, that you gave me back my soul in mercy. Rabbah, great is your faith in me. Right? That's what you're supposed to say. You wake up in the morning and you realize God is creating. There's some people don't wake up in the morning, right? Wake up in the morning and you say, I am grateful, I stand grateful before you, living eternal God, that you gave me back my soul in mercy. Great is your faith. Immediately when you wake up in the morning, before even you wash your hands, I know, namely, that the foundation, the basis of the service of God every day is total surrender and you say gratitude to God. Ad kedei kach, to such a degree, she'od lifnei she'nirgeshet metziut adam, before you even feel yourself, the ani, you say, grateful am I, grateful. Before you say the I, you say grateful. Modeh. Sheyeshnu, there is kavar abitul, you already have this gratitude, this surrender, and this thanks to God. Modeh. Shezeu, this is habitul, this is what's called surrender, v'hoda'ah, and gratitude, shemitzad, etzem and nefesh, from the essence of the soul. There's not even any level or feeling of the soul, just the fact, right? Just the fact that I'm here. You don't even feel your I. The first thing you say is God, right? God. Grateful am I to you, God. The first thing you feel is the gratitude. And Yesh Lomar, we can say that this maruma is hinted at modeh, thanks. And modeh is the numerical value of nun hey 55, which is the letters hein. Hein means yes. Hein also means to be. They are. Let's see. Sharumos, this hints at the essence of God. Hain, how? That from there is also the essence of the soul. Hain means like is here, to be. Like it says, Hain am levadad yishkan. They are a unique people. They live. Hain am. This is from the curses transformed into blessings of Bilam. Hain am levadad yishkan. In Parshas Balak. Ha'etzem, this is the essence which is above even the level of Yechida. Now there's 5 levels of the soul: Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Yechida. Usually Yechida is the Jewish soul, the essence of the Jewish soul. Says the Rebbe, there's a higher level than that. That's not a level. Yechida also really is not a level, but the essence of the soul, Hakashura, this is with the Yachtav Yechidu Sha'olam. This is even higher than the level of Yechida, which is connected to the oneness of God. But this is a level which is Hein Lashem Elokecha Shamayim V'Oretz. Yes, or it is that to God is the heavens and the earth and the heavens of the heavens and everything that's in it. Hain is a level which is above, before, and higher than any letters, aspects, names of God. Call a Gila Vinister. It's higher than anything that's hidden, higher than anything that's revealed. We talked about this before, but how much more so Shamayim, it's higher than the heavens and the highest levels of heavens. Even since that Yechida, this level of Yechida of the soul, this is also a name of the essence of the soul. This is not really the essence of the soul. How much more so this level of Hain, which we said, something that's before, like we said, Modeh, Ani Lifanecha, something which is before me and before God, the bit of the surrender of the soul of Yechida, from the essence of the soul. What's the Rebbe trying to say over here? He's trying to explain to us that what God is infinitely higher than being incomprehensible. Infinitely higher than incomprehensible. There's no possible, like he says, like a little child understands God. He doesn't understand. He just knows that there is. And he doesn't even know what it is. God is not a being like any other being. So to speak, God does not exist. He creates all existence. But on the other hand, of course, God exists. Who are we praying to? So what are we going to do? So he says, therefore, remember before we said, therefore we call God Hashem, the name. Here we're just saying, Modeh, I'm grateful. If this is above even the essence of the soul, you're saying, God, I am grateful that you gave me this level of Yechida. So this you of God, this is even higher. This is with the essence of God. This is the essence of God, which is above any sort of description whatsoever. And we can say that this is stressed in a person when he wakes up from his sleep. When a person wakes up from his sleep, it says he becomes a new creation, like a child that's born. Even before he even begins saying Modeh, before he even says anything. And when you say Modeh, I am grateful to you, God, this is just, so to speak, a movement. How do you say what's a good word for it? Okay, a movement of the soul, a movement of surrender and thanks of the soul, in thought and in speech and in deed. Since that the moving of one's lips, that's already deed. This is above any deed, saying anything. This is a person totally goes out from any of his existence and realizes that God is above all existence, even spiritual existence. The spiritual is just, okay, this is incomprehensible what we're talking about. But the Rebbe wants to stress to us that we're dealing with God. And although God has all these different levels and we call them all these different names, but essentially we do not and we cannot have any idea what we're talking about. But that God, which is totally incomprehensible, we're doing his commandments. We're living in his world. We're following his Torah. This makes the mystery P million. It makes the mystery a million times more mysterious than it can be. But on the other hand, it makes it a million times more valuable. More valuable. Now in this world, what they're trying to do, I don't know who began this whole thing, but I mean, Freud and those guys, they were really, big proponents of this, that there's no real value of anything. Nothing is really worth anything. Life, nothing is meaningful. Life, love, care, it's all psychological, right? It's all psychological. This is very evil. This is the essence of evil. If there's no value, so then life is worth the same thing as death. What's the difference between? There's no good, there's no bad. What is there? There's pain and pleasure. That there is pain and pleasure. But it's your pain and my pleasure. I remember once I went into an office, and the person in the office, he had a big sign on his wall, and it said, the main thing in life is not if you win or lose. The main thing in life is if I win or lose. In other words, a person, what's the main thing? What I feel. Maybe I got other people that also feel like me, so that it'll, gives my chances of, achieving what my temporary. And then what happens is the next day he changes what he wants. He regrets. Oh yeah, that's what I really wanted. It means going out totally from your being and realizing that you are being created by God, who is infinitely, infinitely, infinitely real, and he loves you. He's creating you. And this makes your value and the value of every instant of life an amazing, beautiful mystery. To know what to do with this big mystery, that's another thing. That's what God gave the Torah for and gave the explanations of the Torah. But suffice it to say that it is a big mystery. Okodem can't, before this, and that a person goes out of his own separateness, as he's galus mitzioso kamoshehi la'atzmo. This is a person revealing something to a person as he is in himself. Lifnei sheitchila ez tenua shel yitzia mimitzioso. Even before you go out of yourself, namely the moment that you wake up from your sleep. So what happens? A person, in order for him to surrender himself, so he has to realize that there's a him and there's a self, and I am surrendering myself. So who is the I and who is the self, and who am I surrendering it for? So there's all this different. But as soon as a person wakes up in the morning, he's got no I. He's just aware. So there's no I, and there's no self, and there's no surrender, and there's no nothing. A second that he wakes up in the morning, she'ein kan, there is nothing except just for awareness. Awareness. That awareness after the concealment that was before. That because now all of a sudden he's aware of something, right? Therefore, Metzius achas im atzmus amus. Then it must be that somehow or other at that second he's perceiving what real, pure existence is, the source of existence. Like it says, the Jews and God are totally one. He woke up from his sleep. He reveals the essence which is in him. So according to this, you can understand that. So what's he saying? You want a little bit of a taste of what God is? You want a little bit of a taste of what was in the Holy of Holies, what the Jews felt at Mount Sinai? Well, you get it every morning, the instant that you wake up, before you're even aware of anything. That second, what does it mean? Your pure existence. That's all you are. And even more, you have a feeling that my existence comes from somewhere. Not that existence comes from somewhere. It's not explainable. But that instant, you feel existence comes from somewhere. And that somewhere, that's the essence of God. That's everyone's going to feel the days of the Moshiach. According to this, we can say that when a person wakes up from his sleep, then namely the revelation of the essence of the existence of a person. So this is the foundation of all service of God, which comes afterwards, which is drawn through the whole day. Namely, you're constantly grateful for being created from nothing. Your whole life is on that point of nothing to something all the time. The Al Seder is Galuto, namely the revelation from above to below. The kolosh, first of all, when a person wakes up to the level of yechida, of his soul. I'm a Jew. This is expressed when he says, Modeh ani lefanecha, that I am grateful. Grateful am I to you. And so first of all, he wakes up in the morning. Before he says anything, before he knows anything, before he's aware, that's essence. Then afterwards he says, Modeh, grateful am I. That's the level of yechida. That's the expression of the essence of the soul. Grateful am I, the grateful part of it. Then he gets the I part of it. Afterwards, then he washes his hands, and then he makes blessings. God, the soul that you put into me is pure. Tahora, it is pure. You created it. You formed it. You blew it into me. This refers to all these different levels of the soul, how they are in the worlds, the dimensions of Atzilut and Bria and Yetzira and Asiya. These 4 different dimensions. We talked about it briefly in other times. Shehem, that they are connected, they correspond to the 4 levels of the soul, which are called Chaya. Right? There's 5 levels of the soul. Yechida, that's the Modeh ani. Afterwards, it says, Ata, Neshama Shunazati Tahorahi. That says, that's Atzilut, that corresponds to the level of Chaya, of the soul. Barata, that's Neshama. Yatzarta, that corresponds to Ruach and Nefesh. There's 5 levels of the soul. The lowest of is Nefesh, then Ruach, then Neshama, then Chaya, that's 4 levels. And then there's Yechida. Where is this? Yechida? Oh, yeah, Yechida, that's the 5th, the highest level. But those are levels of the soul. So you have to take this essence feeling that you have, that you're being created from nothing whatsoever, and you're created, that's the essence of God, and you bring it into Yechida, you say, Modeh ani, I am grateful to you, God. Grateful am I to you. And then that brings it down also to the lower 4 levels of the soul, because God wants us to be in the world. And afterwards, there's all the other blessings in the morning that the rabbi said, according to the world, things that you see in the world. You opened up my eyes, and etc. And the revelation that how we see in the creation and how the creations act every day. You freed my limbs, and especially more in the service of prayer, which we say afterwards. There's also 4 rungs of the prayer. 4 rungs of prayer that corresponds to the 4 worlds, which are Atzilut, Bria, Yetzir, and Asiya. But the other way around. You start praying in the morning, the first level, until it says Bruch She'amar, that's Asiya, and then the Psuki de Zimra, the songs of King David, that's Yetzira, and then the blessings of Kriya Shema and Shema, that's Bria, and the Shmon Esrei, that's Atzilut. And in Atzilut, you request your physical needs in this world. Because like we said before, Rivka, this world is the highest of all, but we have to come down. It's only highest in potential. And afterwards is drawn down in his service in the world after you pray. After you go from the place of prayer, then you start to learn Torah. And then you learn Torah from the place of learning Torah. Then you go to your business, your job, to make for God a dwelling in this physical world. So this is the whole idea of the birth of the moon. According to this, we said, now we can explain the whole novelty of the future redemption by means of David, the King David, Moshiach. That it says that the moon, we had a question before, why is the future redemption by means of David, why is it compared to the new moon, to the first sliver of the moon? The first sliver of the moon, that's not very impressive. The most impressive thing is the full moon. So we say, no, the future redemption is going to be like the new moon, because the Jewish people are going lihit chadesh, they're going to be new, just like the moon when it's born, and not when the moon is full. Because the whole thing of the birth of the moon, compared to the full moon, is that the full moon, when it's full, this is relevant to the light, the revelation which comes from the moon. Namely, that from day to day, it gets bigger and bigger until it's a complete moon, which is not the case. What is the good quality, the unique quality, which is in the new moon, the birth, the first sliver of the moon? This is not regarding the light. There's no light almost that comes from it at all, just a little sliver. But the main thing is, because the light of the moon, the full moon, that is giving light. And this, the new moon, it hasn't really started to shine yet, just a little tiny bit. But the main thing of the new moon is just the fact that the moon is there. The fact it's there, not what it does or how it does, what it is, just the fact that it is. Etzem Shalamayla, the essence which is above all revelations. And especially because the new moon comes after the concealment, total concealment, in 1 second beforehand, like waking up in the morning. Before that second, you weren't, like the creation of the world. Before 1 second, it was nothing, and all of a sudden it's something. This reveals the existence of the moon. Ella, but this existence, namely the essence of the moon, which is above, is drawn actually when the moon, from day to day afterwards, right, more and more. So, okay, so we're going to continue this, God willing, tomorrow. The Rebbe is stressing how important it is to be brand new and how to realize that the world always is brand new. And our responsibility is also renewed. And God is constantly renewing us and energizing us, giving us the power to make a new, happy world. And here, let's do the Yom Yom. It's in Hebrew, 1 second. One moment. There we go. We cannot adequately, this is the Yom Yom. Yom Yom, these are sayings of the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rebbe Yosef Yitzchak, that were compiled by his successor, the Rebbe of Chabad, the 7th Rebbe of Chabad. Oh, here we go. We cannot adequately describe the great merit of those who participate in the sacred vote of saying Tehillim with a minyan. Saying Tehillim, and the great pleasure this causes to God, like we explained in sacred texts, etc. How fortunate are the Jewish people? May you be blessed with proper health and with ample livelihood. You, your wives, your sons, your daughters, in your merit, may all the congregation of people who say Tehillim, Psalms, the congregation of Israel be helped in everything they need, material and spiritual. God bless you all. Have a good day with Moshiach. Now, God willing, at 3 o'clock, we'll continue in the Chumash. Today we'll learn about the how Isaac, Yitzchak, together with his mother, teamed together to fool. What did I say? I'm sorry. How Yaakov and his mother Rivka teamed together to fool Yitzchak, Yaakov's father and Rivka's husband. Yaakov and Rivka teamed together to fool Yitzchak and steal the blessings from him that he wanted to give to Esav. Weird story, basis of Judaism. What does it mean? Tune in at 3 and find out, or look in the YouTube and we'll find out. God bless you all. Have a good day, and Mashiach now.